Coming at you with a little bit of a stitch with me video. It is, let's see, 11:40 a.m. on Monday, September 17th. It's a little bit cloudy here. We had a little bit of rain. We're going to get some of the outskirting showers from Florence as it passes up the Ohio Valley, but I don't think we're going to get too bad. And we are thankful for that. I decided to do a little stitch with me video this morning to help relieve some stress. I'm starting to feel a little bit stressed this morning, so I thought I would just take I'll talk more about why in a minute here. I thought I would just take a little time to sit down and slow down and put some stitches in. And also, I'm starting a new project. What? Is that allowed? I know, crazy. We're going to blame it on Opera Joe. So, I decided to start the Playing with Jacks pattern that I showed you last week. Opera Joe stitching with the high notes here on Floss Tube. She is, if you haven't watched her, make sure you add her to your list and make sure you watch her. She does both knitting and stitching. She's out in San Francisco. I've mentioned her before. I really enjoy her programs. She's fun. She's just delightful. She does, like I said, stitching and knitting. She is in the San Francisco Opera. Hence her name, Stitching the High Notes, and Opera Joe. She's Opera Joe on Ravelry, and she has a Ravelry group named Stitching the High Notes. She saw me mention this pattern on my video last week, and she immediately went out and got it. And that's how this all works. The enabling happens. So we are going to do, and she is doing a pumpkin make-along this month. So it's a make-along because she's doing both knitting, so a knit-along, and stitching, a stitch-along. She's a busy girl. So we are doing this pattern together. And I started it a little bit this morning. You can see, started in the upper left corner. So started these lines here, which brought me nicely over to the stem of this pumpkin, and now I'm working down this pumpkin. My fabric is XG Designs 36 count Dark Mountain. This is the one that was the fabric I got for the 3 months of Fabric of the Month Club subscription that I had from XG Designs. This was my last month. I will resist for now signing up again because I have a lot of fabric. Oh, and I'm sorry I bumped you. I have a lot of fabric. We're moving, address changes, all that kind of thing. I'm not gonna do that. So yeah, I started this one, even though I just started the American Farmhouse one the other day from the Scarlet House. That was the club, the Farmhouse series from Country Samplers, the store out in Wisconsin, in Spring Green, Wisconsin. But hey, I needed an autumn one, right? And this one was calling my name, so here we are. I'm just using the called for DMC. Not going to think too hard about the color changes on this one. Well, not going to think hard about color changes at all because I'm not making any changes. So, why are we here? The other thing I wanted to mention, Stitching the High Notes, Opera Joe. She has opened a website, a shop, a web store. So not on Etsy, but her own website called stitchingthehighnotes.com, where she is selling knitting and stitching project bags. She opened it yesterday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. So that was 9, 10, right, 12. I was right, 12 p.m. here on the East Coast. I got on that site at 12:01, and the things that I wanted were sold out already. I could not believe it. So, Joe, I will be looking for more and keeping an eye on your website. I really wanted one of those cross-stitch project bags. I hope you have more fabric because those were so pretty. So anyways, guys, check that out if you're interested. I am sure I will get one at some point, and I will be showing you here. So again, why are we here? Oh, the stress. We leave next Saturday, the 29th, for our, as Mike likes to call it, our RV repositioning trip. And what I've been doing this morning is, I guess kind of tying up loose ends. I've had a lot of appointments I've needed to make that I've been putting off, and they're appointments that I really should get done before we leave. So I made all those this morning, and it's nothing major. It's one of them's my annual mammogram, so I don't want to delay that, of course. The other one is just a, wait a second, I'm looking at the chart. Let me think. That's 4, that's 3. This is 1, skip 1, 3. The other one is just an appointment with an orthopod to see if we can figure out why my knees keep hurting when I'm running and possibly get me have some inserts made for my shoes so that I can really train, so I can go past 2 miles without my knees hurting, basically. That's the goal with this. So that's all happening this week. Today, I'll be heading up to the airport for my global entry pass interview. We got the paperwork for that all done, and this interview is basically, I think, just looking at our passports and doing our fingerprints. So once that's done, we'll get a little card that says we can do the TSA pre-lines, and for when we go out of the country, it makes it easier with customs to get back in. We've been planning on doing this for a while. The strange thing is, on most of our trips, I would say most of this year, Mike and I have kind of been taking turns on getting the TSA pre on our boarding passes, and it's not anything we had applied for. It's just kind of given randomly, I guess, periodically. And so, like on the trip going out, Mike would have TSA pre on his boarding pass. On the trip coming back, I would have it on mine, and the same thing how it happened on the next trip and on the next trip. And we don't know, how they're deciding, why they're plopping that on our boarding passes, but we did appreciate it. But it also kind of spurred us to get the paperwork done, to have it done officially. So that will be done. And then if we do happen to travel internationally when we're in Hawaii, that'll make, like I said, going through customs that much easier. So a bunch of phone calls this morning, getting all that stuff done. Oh, let's see. Then I also spent some time this morning getting a bunch of clothes sorted. Mike and I have decided, so we're putting the RV in storage in Arizona, and you guys all know that. And our plan is, when we're in Hawaii, to come back, once or twice a year, just for like a week at a time, and take it out and just do short little trips. And we don't know what time of year or when or where or anything like that. So we want to have just kind of a selection of clothes in the RV, so that we basically don't have to pack clothes anytime we come back. That we can just pack, our basic electronics and toiletries, and even toiletries will be leaving here, so we don't have to pack those. We always keep a set of toiletries in the RV. So it'll just make these trips easier. So I spent this morning going through my clothes and packing up a bag with all kinds of odds and ends of stuff to store, to leave in the RV. And that doesn't count the winter stuff that we'll eventually store in the RV, since we don't know for sure when we're going to be heading out. Oh, great, there's a cat getting into boxes. He said, oh, they heard me, I'm going to stop. since we don't know for sure yet when we're going to be heading out to Hawaii, we don't want to pack our winter stuff. And if by some miracle we have a better idea before we leave next Saturday, then we probably will get our winter stuff packed up and stored in there. So there's just an awful lot of things going through my brain this morning, and I'm starting to feel the stress of it in my belly. I don't know about you guys, but I store my stress both in my shoulders and in my gut. My gut gets a mess when I'm stressed. So just decided it was time to just sit and calm down a bit, slow down a bit. And heck, while I'm at it, let's do a little Stitch With Me video, right? Oh, get back here. Also having a hot flash. Oh my goodness. Life. So let's see. I am going to change my format up a little bit. I know you're seeing me do more frequent videos here. And I'm going to continue to do shorter, more frequent ones. After the frustration that I had last week getting my last floss tube video up, you spend a lot of time doing these, and then it's just like beating your head against the wall sometimes with technology trying to get stuff uploaded, and ain't nobody got time for that. At least I don't at this point in time. So I'm hoping if I do smaller ones, even if there is some technology snafus, I won't have spent my whole day banging my head against it. At least the video itself will be going faster, and the uploads will go faster, and all that. So you will be seeing more frequent videos on a variety, Stitch With Me's and the regular floss tubes, shorter, so, less things shown. But I'm also, the reason I want to do more Stitch With Me's is I'm going to try and keep my personal chitter-chatter, for the most part, in the Stitch With Me's. And then, concentrate on the stitching and crafting and other stuff in my regular floss tube videos. Where am I? I am there. Okay, so now I have to bounce out to there. Yeah, so look for that. I hope that works for you. I hope that works for me. I've only been doing this for a few months, really. So I'm still kind of feeling my way through, deciding what works best. So there may be more changes down the road. There may not. Who knows? Let me count. Make sure I came out enough. Oh, goodness. 1, 2, and that's 3, right? Yeah. So, yeah. What else? Oh, cat. That cat you heard crawling around back there. So if you guys have been watching my YouTube channel, my floss tube videos, then you have been hearing the saga of Sasha and his rabies shots. And you know that we sent him back. He got another rabies booster. He got another rabies titer test. Those rabies titer tests cost $425 a piece. It gets sent to Kansas State University, where they test do whatever with the blood test. It's a blood test. They test it and see if the rabies antibodies in the system or numerically reach the level they need to be in order to be allowed onto Hawaii, onto Oahu, without a quarantine. Sasha failed his rabies test for the second time. The vet is flummoxed. The rabies company, the one who makes the vaccine, is flummoxed. They've never seen this. This is so rare. In the 13 years my vet has been practicing, she's never seen this happen. They've checked, vets, I guess, have forums that they can go to and share ideas and solutions. They've checked forums, and there was one instance in 2002 that somebody mentioned this happening, but they did not have any kind of solution for it. So my vet talked to the vaccine manufacturer, and they have opened a case study on Sasha. They want to try and figure out what's happening and what they can do about it. Because, you know, if their vaccine's failing, this is not a good thing. So they've opened a case study, and they agreed to, they are going to pay for the complete process. So we are doing this again. Because our options at that point, once we heard this, and we were really pretty much in tears on Friday afternoon when we talked to the vet, or when we got the message from the vet, our options are, we put him up for adoption. He doesn't go to Hawaii with us, which really isn't an option for us. That's just not acceptable. So put him up for adoption, or he goes into quarantine for the full 120 days once we get on to Oahu. And we are ready to accept that if that's the case. We have looked into and read reviews of the quarantine facility that they use. Boy, that's really, there, that's better. Sorry, it was getting really blurry. Of the quarantine facility, and it's actually a very nice facility. The cats have pens, basically, of, and maybe it's even a room, more of a room than a pen, that's 5 feet by 10 feet, so a good space for them to move around in, which basically for a cat like Sasha means there's multiple corners for him to sleep in. They also have a cat tree and a cat run, as well as seating for when their humans go and visit them. So we are ready to accept that. It does cost a chunk of change. It's over $1,000 for the full 120 days, and then an additional $1 a day for the having to give him the diabetes shot, the insulin. But, you know, that's what we'll have to do. Maybe, possibly, we'll see. So the rabies shots he got, the first booster that they tested was from his rabies vaccine that he got in Sarasota in 2017, and that was a 3-year vaccine from this same vaccine company. The booster that they gave him a month or so ago was a 1-year vaccine, again from the same vaccine maker. These vaccines apparently have been modified and improved to be more cat-oriented vaccines. They apparently have another vaccine, which was the vaccine they always used to give before they did this modification on it, that I guess was much more of a general vaccine for cats and dogs. But that's what they gave him on Saturday. So it's another 1-year vaccine, same vaccine company, just a different vaccine that they carry. This one, we do the titer test after 30 to 45 days. We will be taking him in after 30 days. It's pretty much right when we get back from taking the RV out to Arizona. So we'll give him another test. Again, the vaccine company is going to pay for all of it. They're paying for the vet visits and everything. And we'll see what happens. Then, you know, we wait another couple weeks for the test results to come back. When my vet first proposed this, my question to her was, this will be round 3. Number 1, is there any side effects from a cat getting this many rabies boosters this often? And she had asked the vaccine manufacturer the same question, and they had said no, there's no problem. My next question was, why are we expecting a different result? We've already done this twice, got negatives. Why are we expecting a different result? And at that point in time, my vet said, I really don't know. The vaccine company wants to do this. You know, it's out of my wheelhouse kind of thing. And I accepted that. when we went in on Saturday, she said that they're actually doing a different vaccine brand or a different, whatever makes this different. So maybe this one will take. We are hopeful. Because the other thing we found out is Hawaii has actually changed their rules for vaccines for when the cats can be on. So if you remember, the way it works, the titer test gets sent to Kansas State University, I'm sorry. And at that point in time, there's a 120-day clock that starts ticking. And even if a cat comes back with a positive result, which Nina has, they still can't go onto the island until that 120-day clock is up. That's just their way of making sure that even though the test has shown positive, it's their way of making sure that animal does not have rabies. They are so aware that they're rabies free, and they're so diligent about wanting to stay that way. And, who can blame them that they had set up that 120-day time frame. They've actually changed that to 30 days. So now, from the time that test lands at Kansas State, a 30-day clock starts ticking. And if they come back positive, it's only 30 days they have to wait. So that means Nina could go on the island now. She had her result, her test landed at the lab at the beginning of July. So she would be good to go right now. Sasha, if by some miracle he does turn out positive this time, he would be good to go. So what is this? Mid-September. He would be good to go mid-October. Having said that, I am not holding out hope that he comes back positive. I'm pretty much resigned to the fact that that cat's going to have to stay in quarantine for 120 days when we get to, so basically 4 months when we get to Hawaii, which, as I said, isn't optimal, but we're not giving him away. He's our kitty. Nina, however, would love it if we gave him away, but yeah, that's just not an option for our hearts. So that's the Sasha saga continuing. He now has a case study open at a vaccine manufacturer. Who would have thunk it? Let's see, what else is happening? Pretty much calmed down now. Feeling pretty good. I'm not going to go a whole lot longer. We are planning on doing quite a bit of recording and picture taking, of course, on this trip across the country. We're actually thinking about starting another YouTube channel for our travels. So originally we were thinking it would just be, RV travels. But of course, once we're in Hawaii, we're not going to have the RV. But we will be doing, not only exploring Oahu, but exploring the different islands as well. And then, coming back for RV trips. And who knows, maybe we'll actually make it to Australia. We're halfway across the ocean, right? So we're thinking about starting a YouTube channel for that. Haven't come up with a name or anything, although I did get a tank top from Old Navy. I'm kind of taking advantage of their end of summer sale for additional clothes for Hawaii. And my t-shirt says, what is it? Sangria and Sunsets. How do you like that for a name for a travel channel? Sangria and Sunsets. Our Traveling Life. Something like that. Our travel log, or Sangria and Sunsets. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I think it kind of has a cool ring rather than just Our Travel Life, or I don't know. Mike had some ideas last night that didn't really ring well with me, but who knows? We're going to do something, though. We're kind of excited about putting our story out there a little more. I'll still share photos with you on my floss tube. In fact, yesterday we went up to visit some friends who live in Havre de Grace, which is a little historic town right on pretty much right on the Maryland-Delaware border. Again, one of these places, pretty little places in Maryland that we've never been. It is right at the confluence of the Chesapeake Bay and the Susquehanna River, so where the Susquehanna dumps into the Chesapeake. It was a gorgeous day yesterday. An absolutely beautiful little town. Just really sweet. Lots of pretty houses, lots of pretty doors. I got pictures. What a surprise, right? So I'll be doing a floss tube tomorrow, and I'll be putting some pictures up on that of Havre de Grace. So this helped, guys. I hope you understand how much I needed this, and I hope you enjoy my prattling along. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna try and do these more consistently. Even though it's just under a half hour, I think that's pretty good. I just really needed this quiet time. Now, let's see, it's 12 o'clock, a little after. Lunch, get ready to head up to the airport, I guess. Get some laundry done. Oh, I still haven't done the vacuuming yet today. So yeah, that's what's on my agenda the rest of the day. I'll work on this probably a little bit more tonight and then turn back to my farmhouse, American farmhouse piece. Thank you for joining me. I hope you guys are having a lovely Monday and making the most of it. Find your joy. It's out there. You just gotta reach for it. Love you guys. I'll talk to you tomorrow.